Okay, so let's have a look at what it takes to embed a Slippry Slider into Freeway. We're using a backdraft template, but the procedure should be the same with any flexible layout. If you haven't got the markup document, you can download it at solutionsetcetera.com/slippery. Now, when you've downloaded Slippry, you've got a folder here with a bunch of files in it, and the only two that you're going to need are in the distribution folder, and that's slippery.css and slippery.min.js. And as to where you put those files, we'll get to that after we had a chance to take a look at the code. So in the Slippry markup file, we've got 3 pieces of markup that you need to add to your site. Now, here's the code for the markup element. And I've got it wrapped in a section and an article because I'm using an external CSS file to adjust its relative size. And that CSS file is right here. And you can see that when you preview this puppy, it doesn't go all the way across the page. I've got it set at 80%. If you don't use the CSS file, it's going to appear as if you just set both of these values to 100%. Just all across the page like that. That's what it's going to look like right out of the box. So if you're not going to use the CSS file, you don't need these other 2 wrappers. All you need right here is this list. That's the code that you'll put into the markup item. The other 2 pieces of code go into the head section of your page and the body section of your page. And again, if you're not going to be using an external style sheet, this line right here is not necessary. The other thing that you want to take a look at here is some naming conventions. For this instance of the slider, I've set the ID to KMS Slippery, and that reference also needs to be in the markup that goes into the body. And I've put in here the most common settings for the Slippry Slider, the type of transition, speed of the transition, how long each item is on screen, whether it autoplays, so on and so on and so on. These are commented out for now, and they're set to the defaults, except that one should be fade is the actual default for the transition. If you want to change any of these things, then all you really need to do is back out the comments, the 2 slashes, and then you can set different values. These are in milliseconds. All right, so that's the code. Let's take a look at what we have to do to get it into Freeway. All right, backdraft. I've got here a full width wrapper that I have inserted a markup item, which is this guy right here. And I've also set the text in this division to be centered. The markup item itself has the code from the element markup in my markup text. And like I said, if you're not using the style sheet, you don't need these 2 lines, and you don't need these 2 lines. This code assumes that the graphics it's going to use are in your resources folder. We'll get to the placement of those things after a while. 2 more pieces of markup go into the HTML markup, and they are the before head. And again, if you're not using a style sheet, you don't need this line. but you do need the Slippry CSS. And the location that we've got here assumes that we're going to be putting this file and this file at the same level as your page. You can certainly change that. You just would need to update the relative path information. On where this file is going to be located and where this file is going to be located. But for the purposes of this demo, we're going to be putting them at the same level as the page. And the last piece of markup goes into the body. And that, of course, is what we got from here. Okay. So once all that's done, to keep things simple, I picked another item on the page that I added the upload extra resources action to. And I've selected my image 1, my image 2, and my image 3. And of course, those match the names for the slides. And I've located them in the resources folder, which is where my markup code is looking for them. And then with the page's HTML file, you only need this one and this one. This one is, of course, my own external style sheet, which you may or may not want to use. If you use it, set it to upload. If not, you're done. And then publish your site, and you can preview it. Pretty simple.